Harper and Liam tied the knot 4 years ago. Liam landed a solid, well-paid gig, and when Harper expressed an interest in switching careers, he was all in. She had always been passionate about makeup and dreamt of becoming a professional makeup artist. Seizing the opportunity, she poured the last of her paycheck into pricey courses while Liam chipped in, allowing her to snag a basic set of materials. Harper was on cloud nine, as she was finally doing what she had always aspired to do. She had taken a giant leap toward her dream. There was no way this would have happened without Liam's backing. Before tying the knot, she had been running in circles, work, home, back to work. She had grown weary of that monotonous grind, but now her new pursuit filled her with joy. Several months in, Harper started to attract her initial clientele. Primarily, these were friends and acquaintances, yet even these few commissions were generating a modest revenue for her. Additionally, she immersed herself in attending diverse workshops and interacting with experts. Following one such gathering, she was unusually late returning home. Her husband had agreed with her that they would enjoy a dinner outing together, but she was already delayed by an hour. He attempted to reach her via phone, but it was turned off. When she eventually arrived, she was oblivious to why her husband was visibly upset. The dinner plans had totally slipped her mind. Engrossed in her new passion, she often lost the sense of time and overlooked everything else. He pondered. From that incident onward, Harper's actions grew increasingly peculiar. Suddenly and inexplicably, she started showing less and less interest in her husband. A change apparent not only in casual interactions, but also in their intimate life. And then what happened was this. Whenever Harper went to visit a client and her husband attempted to reach her, her wife's phone was consistently out of reach. In response to her husband's complaints, Harper claimed that she never switched off her cell phone, but rather that it was experiencing malfunctions. Additionally, she frequently fell behind on orders. "Don't worry, I'll get the hang of things soon and be faster. Just have a little patience," she chuckled. The phone situation stressed out her husband, recognizing that Harper was too unmotivated to tackle technological issues, decided to take matters into his own hands. One day, while his wife soaked in the bathtub for 2 to 3 hours, he discreetly snagged her phone and brought it to a trusted technician. After examining the smartphone, Ethan informed him that everything was in order with the device, and the described issues should not be happening. Given that they both have the same service provider and the husband has not encountered similar problems, it was worth considering alternative explanations. I would assume that she intentionally switches off the phone, but the real question is, why does she claim it shuts off on its own? Pondered the friend. The husband began to doubt his wife's honesty and requested his friend to install a program on her phone that would track her whereabouts. He couldn't remain in the dark indefinitely. The truth needed to be revealed. After expressing his gratitude and bidding farewell to his friend, he returned home just in time. He managed to replace his wife's phone before she emerged from the bathroom. He chose not to disclose the information he had received from the technician and decided to surveil Harper for the following week. A few days later, when his wife went to fulfill another order, the husband began to observe her actions. As a rule, she served 2 clients, each of whom she visited before returning home. Preliminary observations revealed a familiar pattern. She was in one place for an hour and then in another for the next hour. However, by the end of the week, the situation had changed dramatically. It so happened that he had a day off, and his wife had booked 2 places for the celebration. She packed all the necessary things and left the house. It had been an hour since she arrived at her first destination, but there was no sign of further activity. Her husband felt suspicious and decided to drive there by car. He expertly parked next to a suitable driveway and waited patiently. Another half hour passed, but there was no sign that his wife was in a hurry to leave. There were 2 potential scenarios. Either an eccentric customer delayed their departure, or the wife had come here for some other matter. The husband sat in anxious anticipation, and at last, after a further 40 minutes, Harper emerged outside. She appeared extremely content and pleasantly fatigued, her disheveled hair adding to her charm. Delving into her bag, she sought her phone, eager to turn it on. Observing this, her husband stepped out of the car and approached her. "Are you tailing me?" she jokingly asked, attempting to mask her excitement. Ignoring her query, the man inquired, "What took you so long out here? And what about the other client?" Harper dismissed his question, saying, "The other one canceled at the 11th hour." Smiling, she continued, "So I had enough time to create a true masterpiece for the initial client. Will you let me see the outcome?" Her spouse gazed at her dumbfoundedly, then commenced the gradual search for the pictures on her phone. "No, let's head up there and I'll see for myself," the husband insisted. "It's not right to intrude on folks like that," the wife countered. "It's fine. We'll just say you forgot something." "Come on," the man said, striding confidently toward the entrance while taking Harper by the arm. Initially, she resisted, unwilling to go, but soon enough, she realized she had no other option. Feeling like a child caught in the act, she stood in the stairwell and refused to reveal the correct apartment. Once, she even tried to deceive him by pointing to a random door. But there was no response, and by the silence, it seemed clear the residents weren't home. "How much longer are you going to mess with me, Harper? Just spill it. Who have you been with all this time? Are you seeing someone else?" her husband demanded bluntly. The woman was so overwhelmed by the predicament she was in that she couldn't keep her secret any longer. "I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I met him recently. I don't know what came over me," she sobbed uncontrollably. Her husband averted his gaze, utterly repulsed by the need to endure this charade, instead of just having a straightforward conversation. "Why didn't you just ask for a divorce first? What was the point of all these theatrics?" he asked. "Realizing that I would never be able to forgive something like this," her husband stated, his voice dismissive as he ignored her tears. "I understand," she whispered, barely audible. "Give me a moment to pack, please." Their return home was shrouded in silence. Liam didn't want a scene or to lose his cool. He was used to tackling issues calmly without excess drama. Once they arrived, Harper hastily gathered her belongings and left for her sister's place. She continued her makeup gig, but the paychecks weren't enough for her to afford her own place. She didn't even consider moving in with her lover, knowing deep down that the relationship wouldn't stand the test of time. She believed it would blow over and the truth would remain hidden. But she was wrong. Consequently, she had to forsake her aspirations and resume her everyday job, all the while continuing to date other men. Yet she couldn't help but measure each of them against her ex-husband, and the new suitors always fell short in comparison. She often lamented sacrificing the security of a family for a fleeting infatuation. That's her life in a nutshell. Cheating Secrets podcast like me